Remember, do not underestimate the power of PlayStation.
This is Mikonos Fan, and welcome to Learning to Love PlayStation. Today we look at the downloadable PS4 title, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, referred to as Rapture from here on out. The game released in America on August 11th, 2015 and was developed by The Chinese Room, with some help by Sony's Santa Monica studio, published by Sony despite initially being announced as a PC title. Rapture is a spiritual follow-up to Dear Esther, also from The Chinese Room, which I hear is quite similar in style, but I've never played it. There's not a whole lot of relevant information on the development out there, so I'll go ahead and cut to talking about the game. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is a first-person adventure game where you explore a small English town in the countryside. The catch is that everybody's gone. Pretty clever of me to point that out, I know. As you traverse the area, you'll be able to come across quite a few obvious spots where someone had been having a picnic or driving along the road, only to find their possessions with no trace of life left. Something you'll note as you carry on with that traversal is how detailed the setting is. Yeah, the visual fidelity is pretty swell, but the game world of Rapture is just impressively designed. It didn't feel as if I was meandering around some constructed game world. There is a persistent sense of place and realism with regards to the materialistic placements of, well, everything. I have a total guilty pleasure for games that let me walk around and explore real-life locations, and while Rapture is completely fictional, you could have fooled me if you told me it was an actual place. This experience is bolstered by a delightful musical score. The main objective in Rapture is to piece together what happened to everyone. Now, I'll go ahead and warn you that Rapture is the type of game that is spoiled when talked about. The primary incentive is to experience the tale it is telling you as you explore the game area. You'll move your character to locations, these locations will provide exposition, and you'll move on to the next exposition, all of it capping off at about 5 or 6 hours. If that sounds up your alley and you don't want anything spoiled, just go ahead, click off the video, and go try the game. That said, I won't be discussing the plot in fine detail, but I will be commenting on a few things that pretty much spoil the narrative. Alright, warning's over, moving along. Rapture's story stems through two scientists, Stephen and Kate, who come across a star pattern while studying the night sky. They attempt to amplify this pattern using telescopes at the observatory they work in. They succeed and release an intelligent light called the Pattern, which ultimately spreads across the valley, either killing those it touches or making the life it touches vanish completely. This is the main plot point, and some more relatable, emotional stories are told as the narrative progresses. Thanks to some surprisingly well done voice work, I found these character dramas to be the most gripping part of Rapture, making me care for these people. Of course, it's necessary for the voice work to be strong, as you don't receive any other physical characteristics of these characters to latch onto for familiarity.
I wasn't there when Mary died. I was too scared. So I went to the pub instead. What will be, Frank, she said. And I just want you to face it with me. And I didn't. But I will now. I will face it with you now, Mary. They're coming.
Once you found a light source in the game, you tilt the DualShock 4 to the left or right to play the small scene. I'm going to go off my point a little bit here and say now that this mechanic is rather obtuse, and it's never explained very well. It's meant to be akin to tuning a radio frequency, but throughout my time with Rapture, I always found myself rather lamely just turning my controller around, hoping to stumble across whatever the game was wanting from me. I don't really think I ever really figured that out. Now, when you do succeed, though, you'll experience these character interactions with light facsimiles of the people who have vanished, hence the reliance on strong voiceover to carry the story. There's no face to remember, and physical traits are pretty much impossible to ascertain. I do wish pictures of some of the people had been in the houses you can explore in Rapture, but the tale's told well regardless. That's just a little personal thing I wish had happened. Ultimately, I felt that Rapture was at its best with its character drama. Affairs, medical problems, wavering faith in religion, living life in a quarantine zone, all things affecting the people of Rapture that the game effectively made me care and think about. On the flip side of Rapture's coin is the pattern, of which the game skillfully throws you off of your theories as you progress. Is the pattern religious interference, as the title of the game might suggest? Or might it be some form of alien contact? Maybe both? Has Steven gone crazy from being cooped up in the observatory, or is he the only sane one thinking as Kate has lost it due to unleashing the pattern? The game ultimately climaxes with an end that is pretty open to interpretation. If you want to think it was religious, you can, and if you prefer to think a higher extraterrestrial intelligence is enlightening mankind and taking them from Earth, that's fine too. Part of me would have preferred a clearer answer, but the more that I reflect, the more I realize I was happy with the journey to the end, and that the open to interpretation ending was satisfying to me. I talked earlier about how into the world of Rapture I was, and if you've seen my journey review, you know that I have nothing against games where you primarily just walk around. However, Rapture left me wanting just a little bit more. You can open doors and trigger audio logs with the X button, and you can hit a microwave here and there, that sort of thing, but that's it. I just wish there was a little more input for me in Rapture. Something I noted is that there is a PS4 trophy for reading all of a certain brand of book within the game. You know, fair enough, except you're not actually reading those books. You're just looking at them with the camera, pressing the X button. Into Rapture, that counts as reading it. Give me some journals, diaries, newspapers, something to flip through, to absorb. I'm sure the experience is intentionally supremely passive, but I can't help myself on that. Normally, I'm not even crazy about all those kinds of little extra things, but I would have loved them in Rapture. I cared for these people, just let me feel a little bit more tactility with things. If you're the type that hunts for gameplay, look, Rapture isn't for you. If you're the kind that is open to seeing all the different ways a game can manifest, Rapture is for you. It's a very well made experience that will leave me thinking about my beliefs for quite some time. It's a game I likely won't be revisiting, but I'm glad I gave it a chance. Hopefully you do too. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Learning to Love PlayStation.